So in this chapter, we see Yuji finally activate his domain expansion. Something we've pretty much been waiting for the entire series, I guess. And we weren't even really sure if he had one or was able to activate it or not, given that he only really had that 1 month to train. And he had already learned so much on top of like learning a domain expansion, but apparently he did. And we'll go into a little bit more like what exactly he did. But it's not what we thought it would be, or at least what I thought it would be. Given that Yuji's ability is based off of Sukuna's, you would think that his domain expansion is going to be some kind of parallel to Sukuna's malevolent shrine, but it doesn't seem to be that at all. Also, given that we've seen how Yuji adapts Sukuna's cleave into his own variation, I thought it would just follow suit with the domain expansion, but no. And we'll go into what I think it is and where it's leading to. But coming off of the end of the previous chapter, we saw that Yuji and Choso essentially had Sukuna trapped and about to get hit by Angel's Jacob's ladder. And that was like the cliffhanger. But coming into this chapter, it doesn't really seem like it's that big of a deal. Like, in the previous chapter, it was like setting it up to be Sukuna's death, essentially. But no, it's just kind of an afterthought coming into this chapter because Sukuna just sprints up through the Jacob's ladder itself, while I guess it's like charging and it's just still like that light pillar. He figured out that it's not going to just target him, it's going to also hit Yuji and Choso, which Akotsu's own variation that he used did not do, but that was because he was in his own domain expansion. Therefore, it would just target Sukuna. But given that this is like the actual thing, it's going to hit Yuji and Choso if they like try to follow Sukuna. So he can just jump up to Angel without anyone stopping him, and that's exactly what he does before she's able to, like, I guess, fully engage the Jacob's ladder. Because if she would have and hit Sukuna, like I said, she probably could have killed him or at least stripped him from Megumi's body. And as Sukuna's like charging up this punch that he's going to hit Angel with, Choso comes out of nowhere and takes the punch for her, but the punch turns out to be a black flash. So this is like the second time that Choso's been hit by a black flash from Sukuna. And Sukuna like acknowledges Choso in this moment. He's like, all right, man, you're a sorcerer. And he just sends him flying like through a building and then just crashing into like the ground. And he's done, I guess, for now. He's not dead, but he's benched along with Hana and Angel. Like they got sent flying too. But I guess, I don't know, Choso protected them a little bit or possibly. But because they're down, that means that only Yuji is left now. And Yuji himself comes up through the Jacob's ladder pillar of light, hurting himself in the process, but it's like not enough to, you know, do anything substantial. But first, let's talk about MeUndies because I was finally able to get them. I've known about MeUndies for a while through like podcasts and various YouTube videos, and now that I finally have them, I have to say the hype is warranted. Before MeUndies, I would always just randomly get like a 10-pack from a department store or something, and I didn't realize until now that I was doing myself a disservice because after wearing MeUndies, I can't go back to normal underwear again. They have this signature super soft micromodal fabric, which is breathable, stretchy, and really comfy. They're super breathable, summer-proof, moisture-wicking, and just wearing these makes me feel better, if that makes sense. Like, you really have to try these for yourself, especially right now because summer is coming. So, guys, you can be prepared with MeUndies, and you can get 20% off your first order, plus free shipping at MeUndies.com/Zhoniin. Thanks, guys. And he goes after Sukuna, like just leveling him and even like throws him through a building, like vertically. Then he starts trying to hit him with his new cleave. Because if he hits him like once or twice with this again, cleanly, he can continue to erode the boundary between Sukuna and Megumi's souls and, you know, stripping them and or just killing Sukuna as well. So Sukuna's extra careful to not get hit by these, and as he's countering Yuji, he suddenly regrows his arms and heals his wounds that he's had for like 20 chapters. And it's because that second Black Flash that he hit on Todo gave him his reverse curse technique back. It's because like Black Flash is like this phenomenon even within like the Jujutsu world. So like if you hit it maybe once or twice or something like that, 3 times maybe, you go more into this like critical state. Like you rolled a d20 or something and you're getting an additional buff and it just boosts you overall. As we saw, Yuji was reaping the benefits of that earlier. Well, now Sukuna is again as well, and he's getting his ability to use reverse curse technique back. So now he's pretty much back to normal. I mean, he's not 100% like full cursed energy level. He's probably still, I don't know, around a Kotsu level, I assume, but he's just not down limbs and having to beat his own heart again because, you know, he got stabbed by Maki, and he's been dealing with that the whole entire time. And I guess this is setting up like the final fight here, like Yuji and Sukuna just going at it. Also, I wanted to point out that Sukuna's eyes like go back to being on top of each other again after he heals himself. And for the longest time, it was like being depicted as one like giant eye. Even at the very beginning of this chapter, it's just one giant eye. So I guess that means that the eye closed or something, or the more damage Sukuna takes, the bigger his eye becomes. I really wonder what's going on with the right side of his face. Like, it's never talked about. It's possible that like he, I don't know, tried to become a cursed spirit or something and stopped halfway. But there's obviously something going on with that, and it's like, you know, cursed spirit related. I know that he's like a combination of his brother, but still, it doesn't make you look like that. And the fact that he's been compared to Tengen on like, I think 2 separate occasions, there has to be some kind of parallel there. But anyway, going back to what I was saying about Yuji's cleave and how it can hit the boundary between souls, Sukuna again acknowledges that that's like Yuji's game-ending card here, so he can't let him play it. So he's just going to be faster than Yuji and just avoid getting hit by that cleave. And Yuji pretty much knows that. He's like, okay, gotten to the point of where, you know, it's just us. He's regenerated. You know, he's definitely faster than me. And the fact that Sukuna's burnt out curse technique is like still regenerating right now from when he just used his domain expansion. So once that fully recovers, then he'll just use Malevolent Shrine and like instantly kill Yuji essentially, right? So Yuji has to take out Sukuna before that. And it's like, I don't know, less than a minute or something like that. It's not said, but it's very fast. So there's only really one thing that Yuji can do to hit him with the dismantle at this point. And it goes back to the flashback of season 1 when Gojo was like educating Yuji on Jogo's domain expansion, where he says like, you know, it eats up a ton of cursed energy, but it's worth it because it's so advantageous. And you also get like a stat increase coming from the environmental factor. Think about it like a buff in a game, but then also when activated, a technique imbued into the domain will definitely hit. So that is what Yuji's going to do, and he activates his domain expansion, finally. And he was able to do this because of his body swap training with Kusakabe, where they were, you know, learning barriers and stuff, and he was incorporating that muscle memory into Yuji's body so he'd be able to learn like 3 times faster or something. And with understanding barriers, Yuji was able to use simple domain, but on top of that, he was also able to figure out how to activate his own domain expansion. And he's doing that here because of what Gojo said. When activated, a technique imbued into a domain will definitely hit. So he's going to imbue his soul-cutting dismantle into the domain, which, you know, in theory should hit Sukuna at that point. Even though, you know, he can use like Hollow Wicker Basket, which is like the old version of Simple Domain, to prevent him from getting hit by the sure hit from the domain expansion. There's still other ways that he can get to him, you know, just like physically. But after Yuji activates the domain expansion, suddenly it like takes us to a different scene. And it's like Sukuna waking up. But Sukuna looks like how he does when he takes over Yuji's body. Like he even has the school uniform on. And we see that he's like at this train station. And Yuji's walking up to him, and he's like, "Let's go, Sukuna." And the narration says the showdown between the two goes to a mysterious domain. So this is really interesting. We're seeing Yuji's domain expansion right here. It's not like Sukuna's Malevolent Shrine. It's something entirely different. It's like a genjutsu. And if it's not a genjutsu, then he's just straight up altering reality or warping reality. And he's suddenly changed everything into this environment, kind of like how Wanda does in WandaVision. Now, that's a little extreme. I more so think that this is going on like within his domain. Like, I don't think it's like an open domain, you know, the way that Sukuna's is. Because you'd think that if he is adapting Sukuna's domain, then it would be open, but Sukuna, like, is manually doing that. It's not like what his, I guess, domain is supposed to be, just like from the get-go. Like, out of the box, I don't think Malevolent Shrine is an open domain. Although I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Sukuna is, like, doing that himself. So Yuji, even with this savage plot armor that he gets from the 1 month body swap training, I don't think he would still become that skillful to start using open domains too. I mean, it's possible. Maybe he hits like another 6 black flashes, then he could do like an open domain, but I think this is closed. And inside of the closed domain, he's like altering reality to an extent. Or this is just happening in their minds, and they're both just standing there. Like, it could be, you know, kind of like how Infinite Void works with Gojo, how it like hits your mind. And another thing that this reminds me of is when Yuji had like that breakthrough with Todo and Choso. Like, they both had visions of memories with Yuji of events that never happened. Like, Choso believed that Yuji was like his best friend, and they went to school together and like had these adventures and stuff, and pretty sure that didn't happen. Same thing goes for like Choso sitting at that picnic table with Yuji and his brothers and the Cursed Womb death paintings. That obviously didn't happen. So was that like some kind of subtle foreshadowing from Gege as to what Yuji's domain expansion was going to be? Because if that is the case, that's incredible. Another little interesting thing about those sequences was that before, you know, Yuji's curse technique was revealed, like way before that, like this was like 2 or 3 years ago, when we were still, you know, speculating about what Yuji's curse technique could be. A popular theory at the time, which I subscribed to, was that Yuji's curse technique was like memory manipulation, essentially, right? Because it seemed like that's where things were headed. Kind of like Tsukishima from the arc before the last one in Bleach. But no, Gege actually said in one of his rare interviews that that was just a coincidence and that wasn't his ability, which turned out to be true, of course. But it's like, maybe it was his domain expansion the whole time, or Gege drew inspiration from the fandom picking up on that, possibly. Another interesting thing about it is that Yuji's not hostile here. Like, the way that he's looking at Sukuna is like, you know, hey bro, hey friend, like, let's go Sukuna, like, we're going to school or whatever, catching the train. But that makes me think that this is how he beats Sukuna. Like, he lulls him into like this false sense of security or something, or just straight up just, I don't know, breaks through to him. And this is also, of course, giving vibes of Takaba versus Kenjaku, where Takaba almost straight up defeated Kenjaku, like in this dream-like world that his curse technique can produce. And he didn't really even have to like fight him all that much. So I guess this can get to the point of where Yuji, I don't know, like bros through to Sukuna and then I guess shakes his hand or something like that. And then once he is able to make physical contact, then he hits him with the dismantle. And I guess that will be the moment where he breaks Megumi free from him and then even possibly kills Sukuna in the process. But let me know what you think about this in the comments, guys. If you liked the video, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day and I'll see you in the next one.